Hi guys and welcome back to Mama Lotties. It's been a while, but we're back in the kitchen and cooking some of your very favorite dishes. So today I have three lovely dishes. It's an olive tapenade. So if you haven't heard it before, it's a beautifully blended olive dish which you can use to serve up on some bread as a starter. We have some traditional lentejas, so I'm going to be making that from scratch. And to finish off, we have some arroz con leche, so some of everyone's favorite and traditional recipes. So olive tapenade is really simple and it's perfect as a quick starter or like a snack during the day. So all you have to do is get some black olives, ideally some Kalamata olives, which is the Greek ones, which are a bit softer. They tend to have a bone in the middle, so you can just de-seed them, scrape them off. Otherwise, some already seeded black pitted olives are fine. We're gonna put all of them in there. So that's about 150 without the juice. It's gonna be a 300 gram tin with the juices and the liquids and everything. So just drain it. We're gonna put that in there with 2 garlic cloves. So that's gonna give it a little bit of a flavoring. So we're just gonna make sure that we peel these. So they're gonna go in whole, okay? But if you really want to, if you wanna add some sweet garlic flavor to it, you can roast them first. They're gonna get soft and mushy and it's gonna give it a slightly different flavor. So you're gonna get that bit smoky flavor to it. Now, olive tapenade I like because, you can make it your own and flavor it however you want. So if you want a smokier taste, add some smoked paprika. If you want it spicy, give it some chili. That's really nice in there when you get a nice kick of chili. So we're not gonna put too much garlic in there, okay? Because garlic is very overpowering. So I think 2 is enough. So the next thing we're gonna add to this is some sun-dried tomatoes. These are delicious. They're very soft, they're sweet. And with the oil, it gives it that really extra flavor. It's gonna make it really Mediterranean and very, very delicious. So I add 2, 3, maybe even 4 pieces, and I chuck in some of the oil as well. We're gonna add some olive oil as well as we blend it. Now the next thing we're gonna add to this is some capers. Now these come in a little jar. They're already soaked, they're already soft. Capers are quite salty, so we're not gonna add any salt to this unless we need to at the very end. So we're just gonna add in about a tablespoon or so, maybe 2. In there, just shove it all in. So this is basically the bud of a flower, so you can imagine how rich in nutrients that is already. So we're gonna add all that in there. We're gonna blend it, and as we blend it, I'm gonna add in some lemon juice, so the juice of half a lemon, and season it with a bit of pepper as well. So we're gonna give this a 1, 2, 3, and as we blend it, we're gonna add in some oil. Now you see that as we mix it, it's turning into a paste. Now what you want is for this to be a paste that then we can use to spread on bread. You can add it to pasta, you can to flavor, and like instead of having a tomato sauce, have some of an olive sauce. In the Mediterranean, we love olives. So the more that you can make use of this, the better. So we've blended this for a while, we've added in all the oil, we've added in the lemon juice and some pepper. Let's give this a taste and see what else we have to do. Delicious. So it's salty, it's got the nice bitterness from the lemon in there that's going to balance everything out nicely. The olive oil as well makes this really creamy. And you can taste the garlic, the strong taste of the garlic, but it's balanced out with the rest of the sun-dried tomato that's in there. Now we could even add a bit more sun-dried tomato to this to just soften that garlic a bit more, and I think we're done. Right, this looks delicious. So we're gonna get the jug, something that you can seal and keep, because if you put this in the jug, seal it and keep it in the fridge, it'll last for at least 2 weeks. So if you can keep from eating it for 2 weeks. So we're gonna get this, and all we have to do is just scoop it out. you can really, really smell the olives and the sun-dried tomato oil from this. It smells very, very Mediterranean, which is why I absolutely love this. Now, I put in a bit extra in there because we're going to use this now to just, should I say, butter or spread on some rolls. So we're going to get a roll which you can have served on the table and just have it as a snack. So you can spread some on the piece of bread here and just take a bite. So delicious. Now that is a perfect Mediterranean starter or snack during the day. It's salty, it's got a bit of a kick, it's got all your Mediterranean favorites, and it's super easy. So next we're gonna make some lentejas. So it's time for lentejas. And as they say, o te la come o la deja. So we're gonna start from the beginning, which is all the raw vegetables. Now this dish is super simple and you can make your mama proud very easily. You just have to pay attention. So what we're gonna do is boil and tenderize the vegetables. But whilst we do that, we're gonna chop them down into big chunk-sized, pieces, because what we wanna do is take them out whole and pass them into the blender very easily. So the smaller you make it, it's going to be harder or more time consuming. So what we're going to get is one large pumpkin slice. Now you can buy this already pre-cut and easy. So we're going to chuck this into some hot water and leave them in there to soak. Now, what I should have mentioned at the very beginning is you can get a jar of lentils that's already soaked and already soft. We're going to just drain it, wash it, rinse it, and leave it to one side to use at the end. Or if you're going to use dry lentils, make sure you soak it overnight, okay? Leave them in water for 12 hours, then just change the water. Like I said, drain it, rinse it, and we're going to use that. But I've done a little bit of a cheat and used the one in the jar because it's easy and convenient. So next, we're going to add one large green pepper. And like I said, we're going to chop this down. So we're going to just cut it, take out the bit in the middle. So take out the white seedy part and any of the white bits that we see there. And just chop it down. Now the way I've grown up with lentejas is that everything is blended and all you have at the end is rice and lentils, okay? Now I know that sometimes different families do different things. Maybe you can leave bits that are chunky, like in minestra when you leave things that are chunky, but this is how I've grown up with it. So like I said, we've got a large slice of pumpkin, we've got one green pepper, we're gonna get 2 tomatoes in here, so just get them off the vine. So make sure that you rinse and wash all your vegetables before you use them. That way you take off any of the chemicals and dirt that you might get from the shop or from the farm. And 1 large onion. We're gonna just chop this down. I'm gonna use half. Okay, just make sure that you take off all the outside. And the quicker you are, the less likely you are to cry, okay? I love lentejas because like the starter, this is very typical Mediterranean, very bright, very vibrant, and it's really full of all the nutrients. So now when it's time for those cozy dishes, I think it's just perfect because lentejas one of my favorites. And then I'm going to tell you one cheeky little cheat that you can do at the end to give this even more flavor, okay? So now I'm going to get 2 garlic cloves. Just make sure that you cut down the ends and take off the skin. So if you find it is hard, you can always just squish it a bit and just roll it down. That will loosen the skin from the meat of the garlic, and shove it in there as well. Right, so all the vegetables are in there. They're all covered in water. We'll just need to season that a bit. So get a pinch of salt, crush of black pepper, and I'm going to add in the bay leaf, okay? So bay leaf is going to really give this a lot of flavor, a lot of fragrance. And we're just going to pour it in there whilst all this is bubbling away. Now we're going to wait for this to tenderize, and once the vegetables are all soft, we'll add in the lentils and the rice. Let that all stew together so that everything, all the flavors merge and cook and everything, and then I'm going to separate the vegetables and blend it. So the vegetables are now really almost tender. We're going to add the rice at this point, so we can just finish this off and let the rice cook and soften whilst this is just finishing. Then I'm going to take out just the vegetables, blend them, but leave the rice behind, okay? And I usually do about a handful per person. So let's say this is about 3 people. You can add in 2 or 3 handfuls per person. Try and keep it inside the bowl. So it's been a bit longer now since we put in the rice. The rice is almost tender. It's got a bit of bite to it. So I'm going to take out the vegetables and just pass them into a food processor and blend it. Make sure that everything's a bit runny because the rice and the lentils is going to absorb the water as well, okay? So you can add in there because basically all of this is just a really good stock to use of all the vegetables that we've had in there boiling away. What we want to try and do though is keep the rice behind. I know it's easier said than done. It might take a bit of practice to do, but we can do it. And now it's time to blend. So we've blended up all the vegetables in here. I've separated the rice and the water, so whatever water's left, that stock, I've kept to the side. And we're going to add it back in here, because if we see that it's too thick, we can always add a bit of liquid and make it runny again, okay? So now we're just going to pour this back in here. We're going to let the rice, just stew for a bit longer and soften, and we're going to add in the lentils now. So I have a big jar, about 400 grams of lentils here, and we're going to add it in here, okay? In with everything. Now, the little secret I was going to tell you is that you can also add a bit of manteca roja, red butter lard, in here as well, because that's going to give it that really rich, meaty flavor. It's going to make it very red. It's going to make it delicious. But we can also add in some chorizo, some morcilla as well as we cook this, okay? So we're going to let all the flavors, all the spices from the chorizo, all the spices from the morcilla, all just come in here and combine with everything whilst this is stewing away and finishing off. So just cut it into chunks. Now these you can leave as big or as small as you want. If you want to actually see it in the dish, cut them big and chunky, okay? And we're going to add them in here. So just pour them in here. And the same with the chorizo, okay? We want the fat from the chorizo to melt as this is cooking away. So we're going to cut this in here. All the paprika, all the spices that are in here, just to melt. So about 100 grams of each should do for this. And just to finish off, to give a bit of color and an extra, that flavor, that typical Mediterranean flavor from this part of the world, we're going to add saffron. Now saffron, we know we add to paella, we add to a lot of the dishes that we make. So we're just going to add fresh saffron herbs in here. And a pinch of that just goes in here to finish it all off. Now let this stew until the rice is completely soft, about maybe 10 minutes or so. Let all the flavors combine, and we're going to try it out a bit later. So it's been about 30 minutes in total, a bit 20 minutes or so since we blended everything and put it back in the pot. Now the rice is nice and soft. The lentejas, or the lentils, are even softer and more tender than when we got them from the jar. Remember that they were already soaked, so they were soft. And the morcilla and the chorizo has released that flavor and all that goodness that they have inside, okay? So make sure that you also season this with salt and pepper whilst it's cooking. Then just grab a ladle, make sure you get everything, and just enjoy it. So as you can see, I've left the chorizo and the morcilla quite large in there. Then we can just cut them down. If you've got a fork and knife, just cut them down, or leave them for the end, because I like to enjoy these at the end. And then just get a spoonful. So that is gorgeous. That is packed full of nutrients. It's rich, it's beautiful from the pumpkin and the tomato, which really come through there. And you've got all, like I said, the ingredients from the morcilla and the chorizo. Now, if you really want to make this vegetarian, just keep out the morcilla and the chorizo and just go ahead and continue the recipe as we did up to that point. And you're gonna have a dish that's just as delicious and heartwarming, just like Mama made. So now we've got all those savory dishes out the way, it's time for my favorite bit, it's the dessert. And it's time to make arroz con leche. So arroz con leche, or rice pudding, is traditionally or usually my family's favorite recipe to make because they love sweet things. So first, you have to get a pan and about 200 grams or so of rice, wash it, rinse it, and pour it into the pan that you have here, onto the pot, and now cover it with water, but just enough water that you cover the rice and let that soak up, okay? And then once all that water's disappeared, we'll add in the milk. We're gonna add it there until it all soaks up, until it goes thick and creamy, which is what we want. We want whole milk so that it is creamy, and we're gonna add in seasoning of cinnamon, lemon rind, and then sweeten it all up with some sugar. All right, so once this water is almost gone, you can see that the rice is absorbing it all. Add in a cinnamon stick. If you want it really cinnamony, add 2. So get a lemon and cut that rind off, okay? So you want this to just flavor that water. You can get as much as you want there and just chuck it in. Okay, let this sit in there with everything. That water is going to slowly disappear. It's not going to take very long, and then we're going to add in the milk. But we're going to add in about 100, 120 milliliters at a time till this starts absorbing it and goes creamy. You see that the rice is soft and it's creamy to the consistency that you want it. Just stop adding the milk. So, the milk has almost been absorbed and the rice is now soft. It's time to make it sweet. So we're gonna get some sugar and we're gonna add in about 2 tablespoons of sugar in here. Now I know it's a lot of sugar, but it is a dessert. So stir it in, let it just dissolve in here, and also add in a little bit of ground cinnamon. Now you can get it with a spoonful or just add a pinch. So with cinnamon, make sure you add a tiny bit because a little bit of cinnamon goes a long way. And then just stir it on in here. And you're really gonna smell now sweetness from the sugar, that really cozy smell of that cinnamon as well. So after about 20-30 minutes, we have a beautifully creamy, sweet and fragrant arroz con leche, which is time to serve and give this a try. You can have it hot if you want it, or you can have it cold. Just let it sit in the fridge for a bit till it gets all cold and thick. Just top it up with a sprinkling of cinnamon. And then just give this a try. So this is gorgeous. The rice is nice and soft. It's really creamy. It's sweet, and if you really have a sweet tooth, you can even add some more sugar in there. There's no limit, it's up to you, so it's sugar to taste. And a sprinkling of cinnamon, which is just giving this that really nice, cozy, heartwarming effect. So I think ultimately this has been a great menu. So join me next week for lovely new recipes. And remember, you can find all the recipes on Lotties.com. You can check out these tasty recipes and more by picking up a Lotties cookbook or visiting Lotties.com.